You are about to succeed, and then you pull the plug. The promotion is within reach, the relationship is going well, the goal is almost yours, and something inside you destroys it. You've blamed your lack of discipline. You've told yourself you're lazy, broken, or just not built for success. But here's the truth that changes everything. Self-sabotage is not a willpower problem. It is a nervous system problem. Your brain is not broken, it's protecting you. From what? From something it learned to fear a long time ago, something you may not even remember. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the exact mechanism that makes your brain treat success like a threat. And the surprising reason it has nothing to do with discipline, motivation, or mental toughness. Safety, not discipline. What you're about to discover will explain every pattern of self-destruction you've ever had. And more importantly, it will show you how to finally stop. Think about the last time you were close to getting something you actually wanted. A new job, a healthier body, a relationship that was finally working, and then, almost on cue, you did something to ruin it. You picked a fight, you stopped showing up, you procrastinated until the deadline passed, and afterward you felt that familiar wave of shame and confusion. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Here's what most people get wrong. They think self-sabotage is a character flaw. They believe they lack willpower, discipline, or grit, so they try harder, they push through, they white-knuckle their way toward success, and then crash again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But self-sabotage isn't about effort. Psychologist Gay Hendricks calls this the upper limit problem. The idea that each of us has an internal thermostat for how much success, love, and happiness we believe we deserve. When you start to exceed that setting, your subconscious mind pulls you back down, not because you're weak, because you're wired, because your nervous system was programmed with a ceiling. And every time you approach it, alarms go off. But what created that ceiling in the first place? The answer lies deeper than you think. Now here's where it gets fascinating and a little uncomfortable. Your brain has a structure called the amygdala. It's your threat detection system. It evolved to keep you alive, to spot lions in the grass, poisonous snakes, hostile strangers. But here's the problem. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a real threat and an emotional one. When you were a child and you expressed excitement and were told to calm down, your brain logged that. When you succeeded at something and a parent responded with jealousy or withdrawal, your brain logged that too. When visibility led to punishment or joy led to loss, your nervous system created a rule. Success equals danger. Happiness equals vulnerability. Success equals danger. Dr. Stephen Porges, the neuroscientist behind polyvagal theory, demonstrated that our nervous system constantly scans the environment for safety or threat, a process he calls neuroception, and it happens entirely below conscious awareness. You don't decide to sabotage, your body decides for you. If this is making you rethink your own patterns, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring the depths of your psyche with me. Because what comes next explains why discipline was never going to fix this. Stop and think about this for a second. When was the first time being yourself felt dangerous? Maybe you were the kid who was too loud, too sensitive, too ambitious. Maybe your family had an unspoken rule. Don't outshine anyone. Don't want too much. Stay small, stay safe, stay invisible. Your nervous system learned that smallness was the price of belonging. Psychologist Bessel van der Kolk, in his groundbreaking work The Body Keeps the Score, showed that traumatic experiences, including emotional neglect and chronic invalidation, literally reshape the brain. The neural pathways that associate risk with punishment become superhighways. The ones that associate growth with reward become dirt roads. And so your body carries a blueprint that says, getting close to what you want is where the pain lies. Trauma is not what happens to you. It is what happens inside you as a result of what happens to you. This is why you can read every self-help book, attend every seminar, write every affirmation on your mirror, and still end up back at square one. Because you're trying to solve a body problem with a mind solution. Your intellect understands you deserve more, but your nervous system disagrees, and your nervous system always wins. So how do you change the rules your body lives by? That's where most advice fails, but the science doesn't. Here's where the story takes a dark turn. The entire self-improvement industry has been selling you a lie. They told you that if you just had more discipline, if you woke up at 5 a.m., took cold showers, followed the routine, you'd finally stop getting in your own way. More discipline, more pain. But think about what discipline actually means for someone whose nervous system equates success with threat. You're essentially forcing yourself into the very state your body is trying to escape. It's like telling someone with a phobia of heights to just try harder while standing on the edge of a cliff. Research from the University of Toronto found that willpower operates like a muscle. It fatigues. When your nervous system is in a constant state of threat detection, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for self-control, is already depleted. You are not undisciplined, you are dysregulated. You don't need more rules, you don't need another productivity hack. What you need is something most gurus never talk about, and it starts with a word you've probably overlooked. The word is safety. Not motivation, not hustle, safety. And what that actually means for your brain is about to change everything you thought you knew about change itself. Now, what I'm about to tell you sounds almost too simple, but it's backed by decades of neuroscience. Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory reveals that your nervous system has 3 states. The first is ventral vagal. This is your safe, social, connected state. When you're here, you can think clearly, take risks, and tolerate discomfort. The second is sympathetic activation, fight or flight. Your heart races, your muscles tense, and your brain narrows its focus to survival. The third is dorsal vagal, freeze and shut down. You collapse, disconnect, go numb. 1 ventral vagal, safe and connected. 2 sympathetic, fight or flight. 3 dorsal vagal, freeze and shut down. Here's the critical insight. Self-sabotage is what happens when your nervous system drops from ventral vagal into sympathetic or dorsal, right when you're approaching success. Your brain doesn't sabotage you because you're broken. It sabotages you because it doesn't feel safe enough to succeed. And the solution isn't to fight your nervous system, it's to befriend it. The question becomes, how do you teach your body that success is safe? How do you send your nervous system the signals it needs to stay in that ventral vagal state? And this is where it gets truly practical. Let me pause here because this next part changes the entire picture. Your vagus nerve, the longest nerve in your body, runs from your brainstem all the way to your gut. It's the highway between your brain and your body, and it carries safety signals in both directions. Vagus nerve safety highway. When your vagus nerve is toned, meaning it's flexible and responsive, your nervous system can shift between states smoothly. You can handle stress without collapsing. You can approach success without your body slamming the brakes. Dr. Deb Dana, a clinician who translated Porges' work into therapy, calls these safety signals glimmers. Tiny moments where your nervous system registers that you are okay. The opposite of a trigger is a glimmer, a micro moment of safety. A warm conversation, a slow exhale, the feeling of sunlight on your skin. Eye contact with someone who genuinely sees you. These aren't luxuries, these are neurobiological necessities. The body is not just along for the ride, it is driving the car. Every time you experience a glimmer and actually pause to notice it, you're building new neural pathways. You're telling your nervous system, this is safe. Success can coexist with safety, but there's one practice that accelerates this more than anything else, and most people resist it. If you thought that was powerful, you're not ready for this. The technique is called titration, and it comes from somatic experiencing, a trauma therapy developed by Dr. Peter Levine. Here's the idea. When you approach something your nervous system finds threatening, a big goal, a vulnerable conversation, a visible achievement, you don't push through, you don't white-knuckle it. You take one small step toward the edge, and then you pause. You approach the threat just enough to activate your system, then you let it settle. Think of it like dipping your toe into cold water instead of diving in. Your nervous system gets a tiny dose of activation, and then it discovers nothing bad happened. Over time, your window of tolerance expands. You can handle more success, more visibility, more joy, without your brain pulling the emergency brake. This is the opposite of discipline. Discipline says push through the discomfort. Titration says respect the discomfort and expand gently. Gentle expansion, not force. A study published in Frontiers in Psychology found that gradual exposure paired with co-regulation, meaning doing it in the presence of a safe other, rewires threat responses more effectively than any cognitive technique alone. Your brain doesn't change through willpower, it changes through repeated experiences of safety. And the next revelation makes this one look like the tip of the iceberg. Here's the piece most people never discover, and it's the reason so many self-help approaches fail. You cannot fully regulate your nervous system alone. Polyvagal theory makes one thing devastatingly clear. We are wired for co-regulation. Your nervous system was designed to calibrate itself through connection with other nervous systems. When you were an infant, you couldn't regulate your own emotions. You depended entirely on a caregiver's tone of voice, facial expression, and touch to tell your body whether the world was safe. Your first experience of safety came from another human being. And that hasn't changed, not really. This is why isolation makes self-sabotage worse. This is why you can meditate alone for hours and still feel activated. This is why that one friend who truly gets you makes you feel like a different person. We are not the survival of the fittest. We are the survival of the nurtured. Connection rewires the brain. Dr. Alan Score's research on right brain to right brain communication showed that safe, attuned relationships literally rebuild the neural architecture damaged by early relational wounds. You don't just need new habits, you need new relational experiences, safe people, regulated nervous systems, environments where your success is celebrated, not punished. And this leads to the most uncomfortable truth of all. Remember that open loop from the beginning? I told you I'd reveal the exact mechanism that makes your brain treat success as a threat. Here it is. It's the internalized voice of the person who made success feel dangerous. Internal family systems therapy, developed by Dr. Richard Schwartz, calls these parts protectors. They formed in childhood to keep you safe. The inner critic that tells you you're not good enough, that's a protector. The voice that says don't get your hopes up, protector. The impulse to quit right before the finish line, that is a protector doing the only job it has ever known. These parts of you are not your enemies. They're exhausted guards who never got the memo that the war is over. And the way you stop self-sabotaging isn't by defeating them, it's by thanking them and showing them they're no longer needed. This is the paradigm shift. You don't fight your self-sabotage, you listen to it, you ask it what it's protecting you from, and when it tells you, you offer it the one thing it never received: safety, compassion, the experience that someone sees you and you're still okay. Comment which part of this hit you the hardest. The nervous system revelation, the co-regulation truth, or this one about protector parts. I bet most of you will say this one. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Send this to someone who has been calling themselves lazy when they were actually scared. They need to hear this. So here's where you stand right now. You've been at war with yourself, and you thought the answer was more ammunition, more discipline, more willpower, more punishment for not being enough. But now you know the truth. Self-sabotage was never a failure of character. It was a nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. Your brain learned that staying small kept you safe, and every time you tried to grow beyond that, it pulled you back, not out of cruelty, but out of protection. The path forward isn't harder effort, it's softer awareness. Titrate your exposure to success. Seek co-regulation with safe people. Notice your glimmers. Listen to your protector parts with compassion instead of contempt. 1. Titrate. Approach growth gently. 2. Co-regulate. You need safe connection. 3. Notice glimmers, tiny moments of safety. 4. Listen to protectors. They need compassion, not war. Safety rewires everything. You don't need to become a different person. You need to make your nervous system feel safe enough to let the real you emerge. If you made it this far, comment safe enough if this shifted something inside you today. Welcome to the Psyche Project.